I'm outside here, kind of thinking, walking through the memory lane, looking at life in general, looking at age, looking at things that have passed by, looking at things that are still in the future, trying to balance life in general, right? I know indeed they say life after 40 is the new start, but I tell you that the powerful decade of your life starts at 40. Immediately you clock 40, you would start understanding life in a different dimension. As a man, as a woman, once you clock 40, you would start understanding life in a most serious way. If you have been playing, if you have been joking, life after 40 would make you come to your senses. That is, if you want to come to your senses. Hello everyone, how you guys doing? I want to believe you're staying safe and of course staying out of trouble. So today I've actually come out here, not like I have planned for us to have a conversation, but you know what? I'm just sitting out here. It's a Sunday evening and I'm kind of walking through the memory lane, like thinking about the future, looking at age, looking at things of life. This very conversation is actually meant for my 40 and above ladies and gentlemen. But of course, if you are in your 30s, if you're in your 20s, it might also be like a knowledgeable topic for you, okay? So you could stay by, listen, and of course, learn as well. I'm outside here, kind of thinking, walking through the memory lane, looking at life in general, looking at age, looking at things that have passed by, looking at things that are still in the future, trying to balance life in general, right? I know indeed they say life after 40 is the new start. They told us that life begins after 40. But I tell you that the powerful decade of your life starts at 40. Immediately you clock 40, you would start understanding life in a different dimension. As a man, as a woman, once you clock 40, you would start understanding life in a most serious way. If you have been playing, if you have been joking, life after 40 would make you come to your senses. That is, if you want to come to your senses. So today we are going to be looking at 5 key ways on how you need to utilize your life after 40 to make it count. I, for one, when I look at life, when I look at everything that is happening, when I look at the world in general, I kind of feel that things are happening so fast. Yes, but then that is nature and it's a call of nature, and of course, I cannot change it. But I must start now to change some things that can make it to look better. So turning 40 is one of the most powerful decade and one of the most powerful time in a person's life. Yes, when you're already 40, there are a lot of things that you would not want to tolerate. There are a lot of things that you would want to cut off from your life. There are so many changes that you would want to make. Yes. At 40, you should not be still out there trying to explain yourself too much. You should not still be out there trying to make one or two arguments that wouldn't yield any point or profit. At 40, you should not be able to be found in a wrong place doing the wrong things. At 40, you should be able to be selective. At 40, you should be able to know things that you want to tolerate just for your own health purpose. At 40, you should be able to plan yourself very well. So I do not say all this just because life at 40 means that life is ending at 40. No. I said it because at 40, life begins to get clearer. At 40, life begins to get more clearer. You are expected to be more focused. You do not need distraction. Already, age has set in. Already, time is running so fast, and there is no more further time for you to waste. Already at 40, you would even be wishing for time to be taken back for you to make some correction, which you probably have looked back and see, hey, I would have done this way, or I would have done that way. But there is no time because wishes does not come back just like we want it. So at 40, you should have focus. At 40, you need to plan. At 40, you need to have the right mindset. At 40, you need to have the right people by your side. At 40, you need to reshuffle your lifestyle, remove a lot of people that you need to be removed, select your friends, know the people you want around you, think positively, plan appropriately, and then be able to implement the things that you have planned for them to yield results. Because when you try to rewind back to take a look at your life, you would be able to see that there are so many things which you ignore in your 20s and in your 30s, which you probably wish to go and correct and fix them back because they are like a prerequisite for where you are right now. So you needed to fix them before you get to where you are right now. But because you ignore them and you already at life after 40, right? They might somehow be affecting you, but there are no ways for you to go back and change it. And that is when people wish for things to happen, for them to make some correction, but it's not possible. So you would also come to understand that time moves so fast. At this point in your life, time will be moving more than the speed of light. It moves so fast. And of course, any decision you've made after your 40 years of life will determine if your next 20 years is going to bring you freedom or if it's going to be full of regret. I need you to know that. I bet you. Normally, when people turn 40, right? Of course, people want to celebrate every year of their birthday. When you turn 40, you want to celebrate happy life at 40 and all that. In the 40th floor, we are in the 40th floor. Thank God we are in this floor and all that. Boom, boom, boom. Yes, it's sweet, it's beautiful, right? Life worth to be celebrated. But then you have to plan along with what that comes with it. I'm telling you, when it comes to health wise, sometimes your body start depreciating. I know before I could pick a race. When I was younger in my school, primary and secondary school days, I definitely was involved in race where I can do 200 meters, 100 meters. But right now, I don't know how far I would be able to run right now. And that is why I say that when you get to 40 or when you keep aging, you would understand that the life is beginning to look different. And you definitely will need to start thinking differently and more maturely. I remember they said, the older you get, the more wiser you should become, right? So meaning that at age of 40, when you're already in this fourth floor, you should be able to be more wiser. You should be able to know your do's and don'ts. You should be able to know the doors you want to open and the one you want to shut permanently. You should be able to plan even when things have not certain normally the way you want. You should be able to always re-strategize, reshuffle, and be able to come up with a better plan, right? So that is life for you. But of course, we would always try to be in the right track just to get things right. And also in this life and in this stage of life, you will see so many people sit and try to reflect in their life, their journey, how they have lived their life, what have happened. So want to look at the achievement and so want to look at the things that have happened, the loss that they have experienced and where they are so far. And I definitely want to tell you that life after 40 is where experience meets up with responsibility. It is indeed the best time and the most expensive time that you are expected to think about your life, your health, your finances, and of course, your purpose in life. And not to leave this behind, you also need to think about the legacy which you want to leave behind. What do you want to be known for? What do you want to be remembered for? What legacy have you left? So, guys, let's just look at the few key things that I believe you would definitely have in the back of your mind being in this decade. If you're already in this fourth floor, I want you to always have this in the back of your mind. It will help you to plan well and, of course, plan better. One, I want you to know that once you clock 40 and above, your time becomes more valuable. You would agree with me that when you were in your 20s and your 30s, you have more unlimited time. But of course, in your 40, you're already heading close to 50, and that is more like the first phase of your life. You're about to step into the second phase of your life, and you need to fix a whole lot of things between that one decade remaining. Before you get to 50, you have a lot of things to fix. To make sure you do not move into the second phase of your life having those meltdown. So you need to plan well. You need to make your time more valuable. You need to put a whole lot of things on check and make sure you achieve them right. Because you don't want to get to a point when you will start asking yourself questions like, am I really living the life that I truly want? What legacy will I leave behind? Am I actually investing on my time wisely? Or did I actually have the right people by my side, or did all the people that I have around me help to waste my time and made me not to be valued? So I just want to let you know that your life after 40 is where the intentional living begins. So you need to use it wisely and plan ahead. So the number two key point that I want you to look at is I want you to look at your health. Of course, life after 40, your health is no longer optional. Your health should be your priority. Life after 40, your health is one of the things that will tell on you. I'm telling you, let's start by you eating right. If you do not start eating right before you're 40, when you get to your 40, you would see every reason to want to start eating right. Imagine that you have the resources, you have the money, but at a point you are being selective of what to eat. That is what age setting in will do to you because you would definitely want to cut down in a whole lot of things. You don't want to consume anything that you see that is called food. You don't want to keep consuming it. If you have some habit that you develop, maybe drinking, smoking, and all that, you have to use them in moderate. You have to think on how to plan your life. It might not be that easy for you to stay away from them, but you might find a way for you to, minimize the intake and see how to better your life without them. So your health become priority because there are so many health challenges that will start setting in. And I would definitely want to let you know that you would definitely also take your exercise and life serious. So what I mean is you definitely want to eat healthy. You definitely want to cut down on your carbs. You definitely want to increase your protein intake. You want to exercise more. You want to go to your checks yearly to make sure that you have your life in track. You want to take care of yourself because health is wealth. So, the number three key thing that I want you to put into consideration is your financial stability. Of course, life after 40 is when you definitely need to critically plan financially. Yes, you have to be thinking towards that retirement because at some point you would no longer be working. At some point, you will no longer be clocking in and clocking out. At some point, you might be weak to attend to those business. Now, what plan have you set on ground for yourself? We all are still slacking at this point, but of course, when we talk about it, we work towards it. When you are mindful of it, then that means it is intentional and you are working towards it, right? I don't know what you guys are thinking about retirement, but for me, that future is a bit still scary for me because I need to plan and I need to make things work. Because I bet you at that stage, you really have to be surviving from whatever you have. Yes. I want you to always look at how the world is going, right? And then think of how you want to set plans, set goals for yourself for those rainy days. So I said by saying that in this stage of your life, you require serious planning. That is, you need to save intentionally. You definitely need to eliminate unnecessary debts. Here is when you would want to start thinking about long time investment, long time establishment, things that you can afford to do, not the ones you cannot afford to do, right? But you have to start something. If you can also create multiple sources of income, yeah, if you are working, you could have like a business as a backup plan. You need to set something on the pipeline for those rainy days. So the last key point that I want you to definitely put in consideration when you are already in your 40 and above decade is, of course, consider personal growth. Yes, personal growth must continue. It does not have an end point. Some people at their 40 might choose to stop growing, while some people growth become unstoppable for them, right? When they say life begins at 40, so for some people they choose for their lives to probably stop struggling at 40, right? Of course, if you have everything situated, if you have everything well figured out, you definitely will start enjoying life at 40, right? But then if you do not have everything figured out, la luta continua, the struggle continues. So you would definitely keep planning, you would definitely keep keeping faith, you would definitely keep working hard until the time is up, right? But then at that point is either you are working smart or you are still working hard. There are things that we sometimes fail to understand that in this life, some people are really working smart, but some people are working hard. And it is not our fault if we are still working hard because it takes a whole lot for you to get to that point where you will start working smart and not work hard. Take, for instance, the world is becoming more digital, right? Everybody is keying into the digital world, right? But of course, there are some people that are still dwelling and living in the analog. You wouldn't blame them because they were not born or groomed in the analog state. So if it's somehow hard for them to fit into the digital system, to the AI and all this stuff that is going on right now, it's hard. But of course, to some people, they are still in the minimal stage, trying to learn, trying to move in, trying to fit in. Of course, you wouldn't blame yourself if you are still in the analog time, right? But I believe you would definitely catch up into the digital time. It's definitely gonna be one step, one stage at a time. So, guys, anywhere you find yourself, I want you to know that you are doing your best. I want you to be so confident about yourself. I need you to understand that your best is yet to come. Listen, 40 might be a struggling stage to some people, but also I want you to know that life after 40 for you can be your greatest chapter. Because, listen, I want to tell you that 40 is not the end of your youth. Yes, it is not. But actually, it is the beginning of your wisdom. Because the older you get, the wiser you should become. At 40 is that moment in your life when you should start asking what you want to become. And of course, start asking what you would leave behind. So do the best that you can, make your time and your life count at this point. Do not live in regret. Do not let the people around you waste more for the time of yours. Start now, start early, and make it count. Okay? Until I come your way next time, I still remain your girl D for Delia. Remember, blessed, stay safe, and of course, stay out of trouble. Bye bye.